You know, one of my favorite quotes from cinema comes from The Dark Knight. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. Now that quote isn't always true, but I've seen enough real world examples to know that there is some merit to it. And look no further than the topic of today's video, Kanye West. The college dropout? Classic. Late registration? Classic. Graduation? Classic. 808 and Heartbreak? Classic. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy? A classic. This man went 5 for 5 on albums. He went back to back with that too, which is a whole different conversation I think we need to have. He probably had one of the greatest runs in hip hop that we've ever seen. And then after that, he dropped Watch the Throne, which it was aight. I think for me, Watch the Throne is the time in which we all witness when it all falls down. Not a bad album, but that's when I first noticed that there was a drop in quality for his music. Also, that was just a clever way for me to show appreciation to the man who's played a big part in my childhood, but also an excuse for me to show off my vocal range. So who's trying to sign me to a 360 deal since I'm struggling to get some 360 waves? You would think that it would be easier for an anime character to get some waves. I mean, just draw them on, but nope. Bring in the Murray's Hair Pomade. Seems to be the only thing that works here. But I digress. Let me get back to Mr. West. Mr. West. No. Since Watch the Throne dropped, he's dropped Yeezus, hated it. The Life of Pablo, meh. And Donda, which had amazing production, but still kind of from a content standpoint, in my opinion. I don't know, man. I haven't seen anything from Kanye that's wowed me in this new era. I'd imagine between the death of his mother, the numerous outbursts, and all the baby mama drama he's had with Kim, his mental state might not be in the best spot, but if you release a product, I have no choice but to judge it for what it is and not what I want it to be. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring your attention to Donda 2. This project was a complete dumpster fire, and there's no way to spin it. I knew something was fishy when he first mentioned it, seeing as it was releasing in the same year that the original Donda dropped. I mean, unless you're a hardcore Kanye fan, you might not even be aware that there was a Donda 2. And you know why? Because he only released this album in 2 forms. The first in which he did an online concert where the album was performed live. I only managed to catch clips of this concert from Twitter, but from my understanding, it was terrible as a whole. The stream was lagging and the audio kept cutting out, so it ruined the entire experience for fans. And it's sad to see too, because this concert was done on this fancy setup. They had water all on the floor and a burning house to create this artsy aesthetic. I mean, I give it to Kanye. That man produces amazing live experiences for his fans. It just sucks that no one was able to catch it unless you were in the building. The second reason you can't listen to Donda is because it's not available on any major streaming platforms. If you search Donda on Spotify or Apple Music, nothing will come up. It's because Kanye's elected to only release this album on his personal platform, Stem Player. You would not have known this if you don't follow Kanye West on social media. Also, it doesn't help that you didn't see many of the major hip-hop publications amplify this event. Once again, I only knew about this concert because of the clips that leaked on Twitter. From my research, Kanye released the album on his personal platform, Stem Player, because he was tired of the large cuts streaming platforms were taking from his earnings. And hey, I respect it. This is a man that wants to maximize off the art that he produces. I am all for independence. I'd argue that that independent approach is why a lot of hip-hop publications didn't promote the album, seeing as a lot of record labels are probably in their pockets. Unlike them though, I'm for independence. I mean, I'm more for independence than Will Smith fighting aliens back in '96. But here's the thing about capitalism. It has its problems, but at its core, it is designed to reward those who came to compete and innovate. Donda 2 was poorly executed. Kanye's platform is called Stem Player and the website is terrible. It's not pleasing on the eye and navigating it is just confusing. The icing on this poorly executed cake is if you add the Stem Player to your cart, it costs a whopping $200. I'm sorry, Mr. West, Mr. West. I like your music, but it's a recession coming stateside. Inflation is at an all-time high and it makes it hard to support your music when you're asking fans to choose between Donda 2 and making rent. A lot of your fans just can't afford that price tag right now, especially considering the fact that we don't even know what we're getting. You want people to pay 200 bones for something they might like. That's no different than when all them YouTubers were pushing them corny loot crates a few years ago in their videos. They wanted you to pay $20 a month in hopes of receiving something you might like, except for Donda 2 is far more expensive. So what do you get for $200? Well, the website's a little vague, but from what I've been able to piece together from things, they will ship to you a small brown device that looks like a silicone face scrubber that I use in the shower to wash my face. The website also has a forum, so I guess Kanye stans can discuss whatever Kanye stans fans discuss, like paying too much for Yeezys on StockX and being charged ridiculous amounts of money to wear Kanye's clothing line that dresses you like a homeless person. I don't know. And honestly, I didn't care to find out. What I did find out though is that brown device, it has some speakers for you to blast the album, and Donda 2 is locked on it. So 15 of the 16 tracks I'll never hear. And I say 15 of the 16 because I did hear one. The only reason Donda 2 upsets me is because there's a song on the album featuring Soulja Boy, aka Big Draco, called First Time in a Long Time. It actually leaked online. You can listen to it if you search for it on YouTube. Matter of fact, I'll leave a link in the description box below to that song, as well as the stem player if you want to support the album. All I'm saying is, it would have been nice if I could add this song to my Spotify playlist so I could bump it during workouts, as I like the song. I'm not opening the YouTube app just for one song, especially because the mix on that leaked version is a bit muddy. But the biggest shame is the fact that Soulja Boy, a 32-year-old man who's been in the rap game since he was 16, aka the king of I'm the first to do this and I'm the first to do that, finally dropped his first decent verse. And the problem is, the high quality version is locked behind a brown silicone face scrubber for $200. This is ridiculous. But I'm just saying.